Hi. Been a while since you've seen this face, hasn't it? I originally wrote that line in a completely different video I was working on, but this one I just felt had to get out first. And why not repurpose the gimmick, right? So a couple of days ago, completely by chance, I was recommended an Until Dawn cut content video by YouTube. It was made by someone named Noer. And while I dabble in Until Dawn content every so often, I wasn't really interested in watching the video at that time. But I looked through his other uploads and then I saw one for Fallout New Vegas, specifically on cut NPCs. Now that's a topic I'm always down for. Mostly because it's a finite list that I basically know by heart. And after he gives a bit of an intro explaining how he's familiar with the franchise, and this entry in particular, he starts by saying this.
The first NPC on our list is Atticus, a legionary.
Okay, stop. I don't need to hear any more than that to know exactly what's going on here. Let me ask you this. If you were making a generalized cut content video, would you start by mentioning a completely random alternate version of an NPC most people already don't care about? You wouldn't, right? But let's say hypothetically that you would. Like Mr. Noer here. Then why would you do that? Why would he do that? Well, maybe you've already figured it out, but in case you haven't, I'll tell you. He starts by mentioning Atticus because he's the first cut NPC listed alphabetically. And I don't mean listed alphabetically in the gag, no. He says on our list, but what he should say is on the cutting room floor from which I copied my entire list. And yes, like I could have seen this coming a mile away, the entire video is just paraphrased from the cutting room floor with not a single original insight added. Every so often a PNG of a cut NPC will pop up on screen, and these are also just taken from the page on the cutting room floor. And please refrain from giving me the old, oh but you can make a video on the topic without doing original research bit. In my honest opinion, you really shouldn't. But yeah, theoretically, you could do that. You know what you could also do, in theory? Just mention your fucking source. It's not that hard. Here it's done masterfully on another video I got randomly recommended on Mortal Kombat cut content.
Before we begin, I'd also like to make clear that I'm getting most of my information from the Cutting Room Floor website. If you'd like to learn more about the cut content of not just MK9, but any game really, please check this resource out. It's amazing and I couldn't have made this video without it.
So yeah, definitely a shout out to Khanage. He made a video that's objectively better in every way. So nice to see that. But to get back to Noer. Maybe the New Vegas video was an outlier, seeing as it's such a specific topic, and maybe his other videos are actually well researched. Do you think that's the case? Well, the other games he covered include Bioshock 1 and 2, the Life is Strange games, Telltale's The Walking Dead, Resident Evil 1, The Last of Us 1 and 2, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Seeing as I'm quite well informed on about half of those, let's check them out, shall we? Starting with The Walking Dead Season 1.
We're going to start off with episode 1. So some smaller character tweaks. Duck was not as enthusiastic, I guess you could say, or as many other players would call him, annoying, in the original sort of character work. Katja was a lot more panicky. She was a bit more in distress throughout the whole sequence at the farm.
I already know that this also comes from the cutting room floor. How do I know that? Because there it states that it's an as-old copy from text written on the Walking Dead wiki and badly needs a rewrite. Guess he overlooked that little detail. But now we're getting into the stuff that actively grinds my gears. Here, for example, he mentions Krista's textures in episode 1.
So oddly enough, Krista, who doesn't appear until episode 3, her files, her textures, can be found within the files of episode 1.
Why? Well, guess. But besides that obvious little problem, why is this personally offensive to me? Well, who do you think wrote that bit? Who do you think ripped the textures? Who researched that? That's why. The next bit for episode 2 as well.
Now we are on to episode 2, which includes a lot of cut dialogue. These lines come from an alternate start where Lee and Mark are on their own, and it's a different conversation.
Maybe if we can spot a deer.
Deer? Hell, I'd be happy to find a raccoon.
Those are dialogue lines I fucking slaved away at, getting ripped, uploaded, and subtitled. Also, this guy can go ahead and put it in fucking Canva.
Throughout the whole dinner sequence. In early development, Ben was a much different character. This version of Ben was able to use a rifle, was a bit more competent, however, he was very traumatized. He would actually tell you what happened with him and his classmates, and was very open about other horrible things he has seen to this point.
And here, again, why does he just list this instead of playing the dialogue for you like he did with the other bits? Well, because that dialogue isn't uploaded to the cutting room floor. It isn't uploaded to any site as far as I know, but it isn't all that hard to find online. Then again, I feel like this guy thinks he already did a lot of research with his singular Google search. Oh, and by the way, cut it out with this bullshit.
Including some stuff that I can't say here on YouTube.
You're not some child-friendly sponsored money-making robot. You can just say it. Ben has unused voice lines where he implies the bandits raped the girl. See? Not that hard. And by the way, here's the actual dialogue for it. Taken from InColdBlood Season 1 video, so you can actually hear how it's said by Ben.
You guys been hit by the bandits? They started out just trying to screw with us, but then it got worse. God, I saw them just straight up shoot 2 kids just trying to leave the gym, and then another one in the back when he was running away. And then they kidnapped one of the girls and... damn. I don't like saying it, but I wish they'd just killed her. They let her go, and she wasn't the same afterwards.
If he had just played it, he wouldn't have needed to alter his speech like a muppet.
Also, the lines for Hannah...
Anna, not Hannah. You said it correct like the past couple of times. That's just an amateur mistake. And then the Season 2 video is just the same story.
There's a cut fishing sequence from the game, and we know this because of some file names, as well as the fact that there are some sort of, I guess, inventory icons or icons from a QTE relating to fishing in the files.
Here he literally used a screenshot of the cutting room floor page, rather than just downloading the 3 separate PNGs. That would have hidden it ever so slightly more, I guess.
Episode 2 is very light on the details when it comes to cut content. There really isn't that much that I found. Whether it's on the cutting room floor or even subreddits and theory posts that I found, not much has been really mentioned around Season 2.
Whoa. Hold up. Hold the fuck up. Did my guy just randomly drop his sources as an excuse for why he doesn't have much to say about Episode 2? I mean, I sure as hell know that the cutting room floor doesn't have a page for it yet, because I personally didn't care enough to create that page. But still, what he says here is completely wrong. Episode 2 most certainly has interesting cut content. He just couldn't be bothered to find it. And him admitting that while trying to brush it off is kind of pathetic.
We're gonna start this one with a much darker cut storyline that some say was fake, others swear by it being in the game originally or at some point in development. I'm not here to say which is true, I'm just here to talk about it.
And then he just moves along to a widely debunked theory, of course without presenting any sort of evidence whatsoever. I do like that basically all the comments were just grilling him over this.
And with the amount of dark themes and dark events that happen into this game,
Dude, who edits your videos? The Oblivion QA team? Damn.
So originally, Troy was going to be in place of Carver. And what I mean by this is that Troy's character model was used for Carver. He was named Carver, and he did all the things that Carver did. He even had Carver as a voice actor originally voicing him.
And it just gets worse and worse from there. This is just completely wrong. Troy's model was used as a placeholder for Carver's in one diorama shot and in the Next Time On segment for episode 2. He is literally paraphrasing an explanation I wrote and still getting it wrong. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Here's some unused animations that are found in the files of episode 4. Apparently, Vince was originally going to help shoot walkers from the roof at some point. There's an animation of him doing that.
And here he starts mentioning animations without bothering to show anything. Of course, very nice. Can you guess why?
There's an animation of Tivia, I believe I'm saying her name correctly.
I believe you're fucking out of it if you really think that.
There was a choice for Clementine to shoot Mike, which would kill him. And this animation can be found within the files and was originally a choice.
And then, out of fucking nowhere, in the next segment, he throws in an actual video to showcase something. Though, of course, you can easily find this video yourself on YouTube. It should be the second result. And you can clearly distinguish it by the fact that Bonnie isn't alive here. Like she is in the first video that pops up, so he went the extra mile for you. Season 3 then. Again, we start here by admitting defeat before we even really get into anything.
It's one that I didn't know if I would be able to actually do. The normal resources I go to find the cut content, such as Cutting Room Floor, didn't have anything on it yet. Luckily, I found a forum, like a Telltale forum, I'll link it below, that basically transcribed a lot of interviews relating to the game.
He links the fucking forum post, Jesus Christ. But what he neglects to mention is the fact that already in said forum post you can find videos made on the topic that are 3 times as insightful. And I'm sorry, but I'm not sitting through this one. I can't be bothered listening to someone that makes videos so dry and irrelevant that his commenters have to try and add some actual info to the mix. So, let's move on. His San Andreas video is best summed up like this.
I figured with a lot of the hype around GTA 6, now would be a great time for me to cover it.
And the quality of it? Like this.
There was also meant to be an ammunition that was 2 stories tall. The second story would have been a shooting range, and there.
But this is also a nice bit of insight. Why does he go through the trouble of making a GTA video? Well, because GTA 6 is a hot topic, and it may result in his numbers going up. And with him admitting that, I mean, thanks for the transparency, I guess, but it kinda makes me question the other topic choices. Did he just cover Fallout New Vegas because of the Fallout show? I mean, in the video he says he's a big fan, but would a big fan print out a fucking paper script of essentially a plagiarized list? Does he talk about The Last of Us because of its show adaptation? Does he talk about Until Dawn because of its movie adaptation? You can see why I'm starting to be doubtful, right? I mean, his Resident Evil video doesn't align with its show, I can only imagine why, so why does that exist? Thankfully, he answers that himself.
And the reason I'm doing this game is because I was going to do The Walking Dead Season 4, however, there's not much publicly available cut content, and the only stuff that I could find was done by a YouTuber who, you know, he had everything pretty much already done. And it would just be me sort of copying him, and I didn't feel good about that. So.
Oh, okay. So now it wouldn't be right to copy someone else. I get it. Also, take note of the fact that he never mentions InColdBlood's name, or links to the video or his channel in any capacity. Even in the post he shows on screen, he's afraid of mentioning his name. Why? Is he afraid of getting caught? Or does he think that he'll be banned from YouTube if he says the word blood out loud?
This is a game that I found very interesting in its cut content. Not necessarily in the story aspect, but more in the level design as well as all the variations between the different ports that exist. You know, the Japanese version versus the American version, among other things. And before I get started, Resident Evil is a series that I only recently got into. I really enjoyed the movies. Not the live-action movies, but the animated movies such as Vendetta and Death Island. That's what I really know the series from. I really enjoy those. I think they're fun.
And the Netflix show.
And so it's something I have very recently jumped into, and I've been getting around to playing the original games, and that's why I wanted to put this on the poll.
Okay, so this, I get it. I'm not gonna sit here and vilify the guy because he wants to talk about the game series he likes, you know? He said it in multiple intros. He likes the game or the series, and that's all fine and dandy. My problem is the fact that he just regurgitates already easy to find info on the web without ever mentioning his sources directly. He apparently only mentions where he gets his stuff from when he can use it as an excuse as to why his video appears badly researched, which is fucked up on multiple different levels, but you don't need me to tell you that. Just like I don't need him to read me the regional differences section of the first Resident Evil game's cutting room floor page.
So first, I'm going to start off with some regional differences about the game. So for example, the title pages in the Japanese release and the United States release are very different.
What I don't get is why he feels the need to add cut content to his topics. He's a theorizing channel, you know, like a very low tier Camelworks, because at least Camelworks had production value, you know. And when he talked about in-game factoids, they really were correct. Most of the time. It's just that when he started to add incorrect interpretations into the mix that things went south. Now I have absolutely no interest in watching Mr. Noer theorize, considering everything else I've seen from him. But he himself stated in the FNV video that his bread and butter is Life is Strange. And he has cut content videos as well as theories and character breakdowns on those games. So if those games are his absolute favorites, and he loves to talk about those, then surely those would be his best foot forward. Right? Right? An interesting thing about Life is Strange cut content is that literally all of its big discoveries can be attributed to the work of one man, Cat Red Fox. Of course, that's a bit of a joke, but he really is very knowledgeable about the cut content of not only the Life is Strange games, but the majority of the Telltale games as well. And wouldn't you know it, we talk. So, I asked him about this, and he said the following. Do I need to say more? Like, yeah, I'm not gonna go with a fine-tooth comb through his Until Dawn or Bioshock videos. I really don't feel the need to. If you bought 10 sandwiches from the same place and the first 8 tasted like shit, are you really tempted to finish the last 2? And now let's end with a message to Mr. Noer himself. Quit it. Not your YouTube channel, but quit trying to cover cut content. It's clear to me that you're not in it for the right reasons, so I cannot possibly ask you to start doing your own research. I'm convinced you have no interest in that. In which case, I can only humbly ask you to stop filling YouTube with even more badly made garbage than there already is. Keep doing your theorizing and your simple talking videos by all means. That seems more like your wheelhouse anyways, but stay away from actual facts. By the way, I also saw you had some videos where you talked about lost cartoon episodes. That's nice. I've never really seen anything like that. There probably are channels specializing in it, which I've just never encountered, but hey. Of course I'm a bit jaded right now, and can't really attest to the quality of these videos, never having seen them. But with my mindset the way it is, I don't assume they're all that great or original. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should check those out sometime. I would love to be proven wrong, but I have my suspicions that won't happen. So yeah, let's just stick to the stuff where you don't actually need to research all that much, okay? And I personally would love to see you grow into a YouTuber actually worth something. I'll probably be following your journey in this. So yeah. I mean, I've made lazy videos in the past. I felt bad for all of them. Do some people not get that feeling? I mean, I guess not, seeing as drama YouTube content mills are still a thing. But with that, I think I've said everything I needed to. I hope it doesn't turn out I will need to check Reddit for possible theories you just jacked, right? I won't need to do that, right? Because currently I feel like that's gonna be something I might have to do one day, and I'm not looking forward to it. So let's not make it any more complicated than it needs to be. And let's just quit it. And to everyone else, I hope you've enjoyed.